All right. So today I'll be covering two key features. First is prepayment support for the sales order, which went GA for in 10.044. And then the second one I'll be covering is invoice logging framework for the document processing. Now, basically, this feature is all about introducing the error tracking and the traceability feature and overall improving your compliance and traceability, right? So let me start with customer prepayment. Right now, prepayment feature for the account receivable is now general available starting in Dynamics 365 version 10.044. And this release marks a significant milestone in our journey to streamline the order to cash process, and enhance the financial control and compliance across the global market. Just a brief background about how this idea started, right? So this idea got almost 300 plus votes in the idea portal and what was one of the most requested feature in our account receivable, right? So what's new in this, right? So this new capability enables organization to create and manage prepayment invoices with account receivable. It also helped in supporting the application of the prepayments to the sales order, the cancellation and avoiding invoicing, which means that if there are any last minute cancellation or there are no payments received, there's an option for the user to cancel it. And the last one is that you can reference back your prepayment into your original invoice, which gives a lot much durability and accessibility for the user about the prepayment invoice, right? And if I look from the benefit perspective, I see that it has a huge improvement on the compliance. The users are able to do the better cash forecasting. Overall, it has reduced the manual effort and and overall compliance, right? Let me go through the next slide and tell you about how in Dynamics 365, how this feature can be enabled, right? So is my screen up? Just being ensuring it's clear,
We can
right?
see the screen. Yeah, we can't hear any audio, but I feel like you're going to talk over it anyway, are you?
Yes, yes, yes.
Great.
So regarding the prepayment invoice setup feature, right? So the first and foremost thing is to enable this feature under the uh, feature management, right? So if you look here, we have a prepayment customer invoice feature. The user needs to come here and then enable the feature. So that's the first prerequisite of this feature. Um, going going next is defining the default ledger account setting for your customer prepayment. So if the user go for the under the inventory, there is an option for the posting. Now, this is basically a place where the user can set up the customer prepayment main account. So this is the second step. So if you see on the screen, we are adding up a main account for our prepayment, which is my customer prepayment. And the third step is under the accounts receivable parameters. We have an option in the account receivable parameters. Under parameters, we have this prepayment, right? So the user needs to enable this to make sure that your sales order are in a confirmation state once the user clicks that, right? So this becomes like mandatory step. And under the ledger and sales tax, you need to set up your prepayment invoice, which is notification and automatic, right? So automatic is basically your prepayment gets automatically posted, and notification is just a manual way of posting it. And the last one is the setup of the number sequences, right? So there are four setups which are required for your prepayment to uh, work in a way which you require it to, right? Now coming to the exact demo, that how the prepayment feature actually work in the system, right? So in my screen, if you see here, I go to my sales order screen, and then whenever I'm creating a new sales order, right, and I confirm that sales order. And if I go to my invoice, I can see this option on the top, which is called prepayment proposal, right? Now, this is something which is introduced as a part of this feature. Now, once the users confirms the sale order, they start creating the prepayment proposal, that how much prepayment needs to be added. Is it a type fixed or a percentage? And then what is the amount and what is your sales category in that way. And once the proposal gets created, your next steps get enabled, which is called prepayment invoice. Right? Now, prepayment invoice auto populate whatever information you have added in the proposal. Along with that, you can also add the extra information like sales tax group, invoice, sales tax group, etc. Right? So this is a place where you start creating your invoice, prepayment invoice. The next step is the settlement part. Now you go to your payment, customer payment journal, and then under that you create a settlement against for your prepayment. And if you see here in my screen, I'm just adding the amount for that prepayment invoice, which was $1,000, and the thousand, and then I'm just settling it back. So if I go back to my original sales order now, right? I have now an option, the next option which gets available for the user, which is apply prepayment. Now the user can apply this prepayment to the sales order invoice. So if I go to the next step, which is an invoice, I go to my generate invoice and invoice the sales order. I can see that this particular prepayment amount is already applied, and then I just post it. So So quickly going to my customer prepayment final sales order, right? If you see, my initial transaction amount was 19,000, but I have applied my prepayment of 1,000, and my amount on the sales order is showing up as 18,000, right? So this is the place where you see your prepayments is already applied. Sorry. And my final status of that prepayment becomes settled at the end. If I go to my prepayment and check my status and the prepayment, you see there the status becomes settled, right? And if I finally look at my vouchers, I can see there are 1,000 rupees prepayment, which is 1,000 USD, which is my invoice proposal, which is being added, right? So these are the capabilities of the prepayment, that you are able to settle your invoices with the advance payments, and then you can either cancel it, you can add percentage of your just certain payments and make your sales order applicable basis on that amount, right? Now what's next? What we are looking here from the prepayment processes, right? So we are continue to evolve the prepayment functionality further upon enhancement, and these are the three areas which we are closely looking. Is one, extending the prepayment for the FTI, which is a free text invoice. Secondly, on the multiple prepayment invoice against the single sales order. And the third one is single sales order hold functionality for the prepayments. So these are some of the things which we are looking at this stage. Uh, I would like the group to look into this. I have incorporated a feedback section here. If you guys can take a screenshot or click on this particular link, there will be certain questions which is related to prepayment. I would like to get some inputs on from the group, if from for the future functionality, and if you guys are using, and what is the best way to improve this functionality. So I'll take a pause here. If you guys can take a moment, take a screenshot, and then do it as per your convenience. Okay, Lydia, shall I stop here, or will continue, or later we
No,
can look?
please feel free to continue. Yeah, I know we say 15 minutes, but everyone usually presents for up to half an hour, so knock yourself out.
Okay, amazing. And then the next feature is our logging framework feature for the document processing. Now, this provides a structured logs for the life cycle of the sales order invoice and the free text invoice within the customer invoice workspace. Uh, Now, just to break it little further, right? Now we have a customer invoice workspace where we see the number of invoices already posted and how many got errored. But there are no ways we can just link back to particular error and understand what is the issue that happened while posting that error, what is the failure error, right? So with this feature, we are trying to improve the traceability and track the invoice status changes, right? To start with, this feature is available as a preview feature in feature management starting with the version of 10.045. Now let me go through the key benefits of it, right? As I mentioned that you can improve your monitoring, right? View posted versus your fails invoices gives an entire set of new flexibility to drill into the details of your quick troubleshooting, right? So your traceability improves. You have a quick accessibility of your errors, and then that will give you a real-time visibility about the overall document state. And eventually, you'll be able to troubleshoot the problems better, right? The next one we see is the error transparency, which was initially lacking behind. When we started with this functionality, we heard so many complaints from the users saying that they're not able to understand that at what stage the batch got failed, what are the errors which came in while they were running the batch invoicing or the free text invoice, right? So it gives a clear indication on the assess of a detailed error of your posting directly on your workspace, which is super great. And the last one is on the compliance, right? You have the right set of information at your place, and then you can take decision immediately, right? So it improves a lot of areas at a one shot. Now let's look into how this particular functionality work in actual, right? If you look on my screen, I have my feature management ready. And in the feature management, I have this particular feature which is called Customer Invoice Logging Framework for sales order and FTI history tracking, right? So this is a feature which needs to be enabled at a beginning. So once the feature gets enabled, right? So the user needs to come to the customer invoice workspace. Now this is not new, right? This already exists in the system. We have enhanced this workspace. How? So if you look at the sales order posting history, right? So we have this two columns called posted and errors, right? And same applies to your free text invoice posting history. Again, two columns are there. Now, initially, these were not clickable, right? Now, so you can click now how many invoices got posted, right, on this particular date. Date wise, you can put a filter and then you can look at your particular sales order and is it like batch executed or is it like manually done or one by one, right? So is it like summary? How many lines were there? So all that details came for your posting scenarios. Now, if you look at this column, which is called error, right, you can actually click on this particular error. And again, it has multiple columns, which is sales order linked and execution date time. Is it executed by batch? Now, on the top, we have error details, which makes it more interesting, right? Now, if I click on this error details, you'll see it shows you a right side pane which shows up that what was the error which happened during this batch run, right? You can easily read through that. One cannot pick because of the zero available from the inventory. So there is no way I should go to the system and then recheck my particular sales order, right? It is right there for me to absorb that what happened, and then I can take immediate action, right? So this is the beauty of this functionality, is that the user have the accessibility of the errors and they can track their errors immediately. So now these are something which we have added additionally for our sales order history tab and the free text posting history tab, right? Now the user don't need to go back. Uh, Similarly, they can also click bases on each date, and then all the invoices for that particular dates can be listed and seen through the entire workspace. uh, if the errors are more, it will list out all the errors. If you see on my right pane, everything is listed. Now it will list against each sales order, right? So in if I look back and I show you that, uh, if I show you in the errors, right? Initially there were only one errors, whereas now there are 500 errors which were executed for this, right? Now, if I have to dig into a specific sales order, I can look into each of the invoice and what is the error specific to that particular day and particular sales order, right? So that will give you the direct mapping to for these errors. So this will make a very easy task for the user to take an action for that particular day, and I mean do the immediate remediation, right? So now going to my next screen, which is I think on the functionality, right? How we are trying to evolve this. We see that these errors can be clubbed multiple into many sections where the user either can take actions uh, combiningly with the error logs, or take some uh, or the system provides certain recommendation basis on looking at the history, right? So these are some of the areas which we are exploring at this stage for this logging framework. And uh, that's it. I think from the feedback perspective, I have a couple of questions for you guys to help me uh, to capture. So this is a QR code. If you guys can take a screenshot of this and help me to answer a few questions related to this particular feature, it will be really super helpful for us to improvise on this feature and understand your direct feedback.